Hey, Chris here from the last click. Going to be looking around because there's a lot going on, a lot of distractions, sounds in the background. Today is the first day, it's the official kickoff for eTail. This is the last click second conference. I really always have the great opportunity having some amazing guests with me. I will message people throughout leading up to the event and try to get the best of the best to join us. And this morning I was able to have a very, very gracious guest accept. And you were just on stage this morning.
Yeah, just a little bit
Um,
ago.
yeah. And how did that go with, first of all, let's get you to do an introduction, and then we'll jump into the stage presence, because it was an early morning. It's always tough to be the first one, and you nailed it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is kind of first thing, 8 a.m., getting in, the crowd's warming up, still finishing their coffees and eating their yogurts. So,
Yeah, lots of
yeah,
clanging going
yeah,
on, and you still people, as they're like, as the intro happens, there's like slowly closing their laptops. That addiction to
mhm.
work is always with us.
Yeah, it's hard to disconnect when you're at a conference for sure. I'll be in and out of meetings myself all day. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so tell us about what you're here, what you're
yeah,
doing, the event, your business, everything. Like, I want the audience. What I try to get with the last click is for people to really get some nuggets and takeaways, and kind of like this mantra of the Monday morning mandate. Like,
oh,
when they
yeah,
listen to something, what can they take away and implement with their
or
business?
your 3 a.m. list.
Oh my
Talk
god,
about my
it's
3 a.m.
it's
list. Yeah,
I have such a bad time sleeping that I have a notebook beside my bed,
same,
and I will
same.
ideas are always happening, and then I'll write them down.
Hard same, yeah. Well, my name's Elina Vilk. I am president and chief business officer at David's Bridal, but I come from the tech world. And so companies like Meta, PayPal, many others have been kind of in Silicon Valley in and around 20 years before working with a lot of retailers in the past and now in sitting in seat in a retailer for the last 2 years at David's.
That's great. It's always nice to have a bit of a tech background or something. I always say that it's great to be kind of a generalist in our
Mhm.
business, because we have to understand merchandising, P&Ls, forecasting, all of these things. So if you just focus on marketing or a specific silo, you have a hard time communicating with your
Yeah.
teams and the rest of the business or suppliers. So being having a background in other areas really force really good dialogue with people. And what's the greatest strength that the tech background brings for you?
I honestly think that everyone in retail is now in tech. And so it's converging quite a bit in terms of what you need to know in retail, and especially running an e commerce site or thinking about the journey for the customer. It's all connected now. And so you really have to have some understanding of technology today to
Yeah.
have, I think, a C seat at a retailer.
I agree. I think if you think about Walmart, it started off as a retailer. It did
Mhm.
transformation into really a logistics company,
Right?
and now I feel that it's definitely a tech company with all the tools, technology, innovation that they release. And I
Mhm.
think that's you've nailed it with that. That retailers do have to go through this journey of, you start off
Yeah,
selling product, but then you have to embrace the technology and tools to actually scale.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with David Bridal, we were on stage this morning, and as I was listening in, you you take a approach that I really think it's about community and connection
Mhm.
versus just trying to sell, "Hey, you're getting married, let's do something together." It's really, I think you talked about those kind of micro moments and all the details involved with what's going through a wife to be, a couple that's deciding to go through it. Talk to me about how you facilitate really that process.
Have you heard of design thinking?
Yes, I have.
So my background's in design thinking, and it started at the D school at Stanford, and then there was a company called IDEO, and I studied it for a while and facilitated it early in my career. And another way to think about it is customer driven design. Another way to think about it is radical empathy. And so it really is about getting into the customer's head at every stage of their mindset and journey. And so you're not just looking at the surface of a transaction,
Right.
you're looking at what's underneath it. And so the thing I said on stage was, we're not actually solving for her buying a dress, or we're not actually solving for her wedding journey. What we're solving for is her underlying emotional state. And her emotional state and what's in her head is stress. And so we uncovered that through, we have 75 years of experience in terms of dealing with brides and serving brides. We call them dream makers or stylists. And then there's so much knowledge. Many of our dream makers, I mean, they've been in seat for 20, 30 years.
Right.
And so there's one emotion that surfaces for the bride after the engagement period, and that is absolute and total stress of having to manage an event of this size and the humans that get involved with that event of this size in something they've never done before. And so you can't discount that. And so in the journey. And so once you start to understand what you're solving for, then you start to realize what is all the buildup around that.
Yeah, we always get in our heads when we get married thinking we're going to be judged. I know I've done a bunch of events that I've run, and it didn't really matter about the content or how many people were dancing. It always came down to the food. And
The food.
if the food was cold or if it
Yeah.
didn't taste good, everyone would talk about that later
Yeah.
on. And it was such a stress for me
Yeah.
going through that process for my own wedding was like, okay, I can fail at my speech, I can fail at a number of components, but the food has to be solid. But it's those anxieties that we bring to our own event that we're putting on. So you try to make that easier for your customers. When people are going through the process now, weddings have changed quite a bit. And you've taken a lot of stress out of how and the anxiety out of it. Talk about some of the new tools, technology that you're going to be implementing or should people be looking for with your organization this year?
So we've done a lot, and our journey is probably 10% done. And so we built an AI. It's actually using multiple language models to build an entire journey for the bride and groom and the entire wedding party, really. And the first thing we did is we took, 300 plus tasks that are in a wedding,
Wow.
and we mapped them. And so they're now dynamic. And so you only see a subset of those that are based on only what you're looking for at that moment in time. And we generate that for you. So you don't need to look for anything. So we tell you the biggest thing is, where do I start and what do I do next? Right. Once you're
Yeah.
in it, you can figure it out. You can do the research. All of that's great. But how do I even start this process, and where am I in the process, and how do I manage through it? And so what we did is we mapped all of those tasks. We can allow you to edit and add your own tasks. And we create a journey for you where if it's time for you to find florist, that's all you're looking at is florist. And we show you your colors. This is what you might want to look at. Give you recommendations. Then we connect you with vendors. So it's a two-sided platform. Think Airbnb, but for weddings.
Right.
And then we do this with large retailers. So like a Shutterfly for your wedding books. And then we do this with small local florists and small local vendors that can come into the platform in the moment in time that matters. And then we have something like to call embedded tasks. And these are tasks that we AI superpower. And so these are things like solving really big problems that wedding parties have told us were big problems. Again, this goes under this concept of stress. There's three biggest stressors in a wedding. Number one is financial. Can I
Yeah.
afford this wedding? Number two is bridal party and dealing with the bridal party and ensuring other people the things you can't control. Like, you can buy your dress and your fiance will buy his suit or he'll rent his tux. Will my bridal party do it in time? And will they do it? How will they do it? And then also, can I manage all of this at the same time? Like all the interactions. So we're looking at the biggest possible stressors and we're tackling them as problem statements. And so the biggest possible stressor, budget. We built an AI budgeting tool that tells you, okay, if my wedding budget is $35,000, you said you care about food, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of the top three things. It's basically, think of a utility model. Because if based on my budget, I should be paying, my budget's $35,000 and food is my number one vector, then I should be spending X amount of dollars on food.
Right.
And then the second thing is maybe it's band, right? And so then I should be, in my local area, bands cost between this and this. Based on my budget and where this stands, I shouldn't spend more than this on a band. So it helps them direct them in terms of how they should spend. And then we'll connect them with the band, or we'll connect them, with the
Mhm.
caterer or whatever. And so that's the budget piece. And then for bridal party, an embedded task is, well, if you have five bridesmaids, have you ever tried to get five women to agree on something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I can't even get just myself and my wife to agree on
Right.
something.
Right.
I'm like, just make the decision and I will facilitate.
Yeah. They have five women, okay, with totally different body types to
Yeah.
agree on a dress fit
Yeah.
is very, very challenging. And so a lot of brides are opting for the same color from the same vendor or the same retailer, but different fits to fit the different bridesmaids. Or they'll have like a maid of honor fit and different,
Mm.
getting them to agree on a dress that'll go with all of them. Everyone's going to have notes or complaints. And it's a big stressor for the bride to get this alignment. So we built a tool that creates an upvote. It generates the dresses based on the colors that we already know are in the wedding. And with the PDPs directly in there, commercial. And then the bridesmaids can upvote yes or no, that they like them. We do it all for them. So it's not like they have to have all the conversations. The bride sees these are my top three. I'll pick which one from there. Or I'll give them these three options they can choose from, and they're all in the same color in green apple or whatever. So that's another example of an embedded task.
I love that, and I come from the home building industry with
Hmm.
pros, contractors. There's biggest stress is a $35,000 renovation in the
Right,
kitchen, trying to figure out the colors that match, have alignment between you and your spouse on what tile is gonna go with the, flooring, et cetera, and also the other piece is making sure that you're connecting the consumer and building confidence with the pros that are trusted,
right.
and you facilitate a lot of
Yeah,
that as well, is
yeah.
making sure that they're connected with the right florist or someone that's going to do a cake for them, or even just someone that's going to make sure that the hall is perfect. And I think that's a key thing, is your customers are coming out of this with a sense of that anxiety is getting lower and lower with every part of that process.
Yeah, and, as much as it is for the customer, it's also really important that it's that for the vendor, especially on the small business side. If you're a florist or a caterer, marketing for your business is really challenging,
Right.
and every penny you're spending, there's not a lot of margin there. You're the CEO, you're also the janitor. You came into the field with your business in mind. Like, if you're a florist, you really know flowers, but you don't know e-commerce, you don't know advertising.
Yeah.
And so how do we make sure that it's a really good value proposition for them too? And that's equally important to me, is being able to set up the two-sided marketplace.
Amazing. Well, thank you for coming here this morning. I promise you, you and I, when we have less of distraction, we'll get onto a
Yeah.
longer form podcast, and we'll go into detail. But this is great. It's enough of a teaser for people to understand what's going on at eTail. Thank you for kicking it off. That's always the hardest role, of kicking off an event like this and being my first podcast. So
Well,
working out the bugs with me this morning is greatly appreciated.
well, thanks for having me. And I think you'll have a lot of fun here. There's some really great speakers coming up in the lineup. So, yeah.
Yeah, I will. Thank you. And I should ask, if people want to connect with you, I'll put your information in the description below for sure. But if you want to give a way of people to contact you,
Yeah.
would be great.
I'm on LinkedIn under Elina Vilk, ELINAVILK, and would love to connect. And if you have some ideas around commerce or a connection or weddings or the wedding journey, please reach out.
Awesome. Thank you.